Welcome everyone to our Take Charge of Your Life discussion today. Our focus really here is self-mastery and living an abundant life while living into our fullest potential. I'm Roberta, and I am a holistic health practitioner and a personal transformation specialist, extremely passionate about seeing people overcome in mind, body, and soul. And this is my co-host, Tish.
I'm Tish Taylor from Growth Centric Living. I'm a growth mindset coach. I support high-achieving parents and professionals, not just on focusing on their success, but also on raising future generations that are also resilient and grounded.
Awesome. We're just going to share a bit about our mentor, Peter Sage, which is what these discussions are centered around, his work. He's a globally recognized human behavior expert, an author, and a motivational speaker. He's really renowned for his deep understanding of the human behavior and self-mastery. And he has also like a 6-time TED Talk speaker, a best-selling author with over 150,000 copies of his books in multiple languages. His contribution to the personal growth industry is actually considered the gold standard in personal transformation. And he has over 4,200 Trustpilot reviews rated at 4.9 out of 5 stars. So he has a incredible integrity. He's walked the walk, and he's sharing with us just incredible wisdom and insight and ways to transform our life and live at our best version of ourselves. The structure of our call is we have a framework that covers mind, body, and soul transformation. So in the mind area, we call it Live Empowered. For the body transformation, we call it Live Healthy. And for the soul, we call it Live Free. So Tish is going to share what our topic is and share the video of Peter's.
Our video today is called Clarity is Power, and we're going to play this video and then we'll talk about it in our 3 realms as Roberta just described. So let's get straight to that.
If somebody asked you your name or to write down your name, it would take you all of about a nanosecond to accomplish that goal. But if somebody asked you what's most important to you in life, would you be able to answer it at the same rate? Would you automatically know? Would it be part of who you are? Now, we hear all the time, clarity is power. But clarity of what? It's such a shame that most people are going through life chasing false goals. They think they know what they want. Oh, I want more money, a better house, better car. But what they're really saying is, I know what I don't want, so I'm going to do the opposite. And therefore, we chase false goals. Either it's what we think mum and dad wanted or what society expects of us. Instead of really sitting down and asking ourselves, what do I really want and why? So it's a shame most people spend more time planning their wedding than planning their life. And if you were to invest just a small amount of time to get clarity about what you want, who you are, and why you're here, and give those questions thought, you will have power.
Excellent. Peter's always so inspiring to hear his perspective on things. Is just always thrills me to really lean into that and try to, embody it. It's incredible. So when I think about the living empowered with the mind and in relation to goals and clarity, we know that vision creates direction. Without vision, we just kind of are living in survival and not really having a direction at all. So for me, when I don't have any kind of clarity or direction on what I'm doing in my life or what my purpose is or why I'm here, just kind of knowing, what my path is every day, it's so easy to be distracted and just waste a lot of time. Actually, that's one thing I really don't like to do is just waste time. I feel like I want to be purposeful. I was trained to be very efficient and, productive. And so just wandering around with no clarity or direction wasn't an option for me. And so that's why I pursued the things I have and gotten clear on what I wanted to do in life. And we know that a lot of, like Peter said, a lot of goals that people have are rooted in societal pressures or just expectation from, previous generations. But if it doesn't light me up and it doesn't make me want to get out of bed and I'm not passionate and excited about it and I'm just more tired and dreading it, I know certainly that is not an aligned goal for me.
Yeah, the thing for me is just that thinking that goals were set by somebody else. So I unintentionally set goals that I thought other people wanted me to accomplish. And then they felt very constraining. They weren't very motivating.
Yeah. I was in survival mode so much in my life that it never even crossed my mind to give myself an option. You just, even financially or whatever, you just feel like, well, I'm just glad to kind of be treading water and compare myself to other people. It's like, well, I'm doing better than that person. But if I'm not in a place of alignment, I feel irritable, restless, discontent, and I don't feel fulfilled. And I know that feeling. And so even if I try to put on a face on the outside and say, oh, everything's fine, life is fine. It's like, I can't get away from that feeling of not feeling fulfilled. And I really don't want to miss my purpose here. Like, we have this one life to star in our movie. And it just seems crazy to me that I would not live out something that I was designed to do while I'm here.
I think finding our purpose starts with that mindset shift. And for me, changing our goals from, what people thought to what do I actually want? Actually taking the time to consider, what do I want? What does Tish Taylor want out of this world? And that really shifted how I thought about goals for myself. And now I feel motivated. This is something I want. So now it's more like a plan instead of a deadline or an accomplishment that somebody else has set on me.
That's really good to point that out, because I ultimately didn't like goals. In fact, I avoided them a lot in my life because I just didn't think I could succeed at them, I'm sure, in the back of my mind. So they felt daunting. And I just felt like that was for other people. I would just stay in a very safe little tiny world and do the very minimum, to get by. But that just wasn't what my soul wanted. And so, leaning into this has been super important and helpful too. That's how I found my holistic health work, getting clear with a life coach and sitting down and started to see what's possible and dream about it and really be open to something opening itself up to me. And it was amazing how that showed up when I gave it permission to do so. So that was really powerful time in my life. The tip that I have for this is that take time to journal the question, if I already knew I was enough, what would I truly want to create with my life? Kind of like Tish said, just sitting down and having that inquiry, just asking ourselves that question one time, just saying, wow, what would I do if there was no obstacles, and what would I really love to do? When I did that, it took about 2 months, really, literally, from the time I asked that question until my biggest passion which was transformation and helping people in mind, body, and soul, came into my life in a huge way. It was just dropped into my awareness in practicality in the outer world. I was truly opening up and inviting that opportunity in will be an opportunity for you to really get clear on where you're going.
The mindset is a perfect stepping stone for getting clear on our goals. And then next, I think the next round to think about is as far as your health and your body, where this is another area where clarity is key. It's not good enough to just focus on, like Peter said, what we don't want. It's not good enough to say we don't want to be unhealthy or we don't want to be ill. Instead, we need to be very clear and specific on what it is that you do want. And in terms of your health, again, vague things like I want to be skinnier or I want to be healthier isn't the right approach. This doesn't set your GPS in the right direction. And if we think about a car, you need to put in an address. I can't just say I want to go somewhere fun. Right? You would drive around in circles, your car wouldn't take you anywhere. So one tool that I have for that, some of you may have heard of it before, it's called SMART goals. SMART being an acronym for how to set really clear goals. Them being S standing for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time framed. So if I was to use this an example for myself and how I set my own health goals, I strive to be healthier like others do. And for me, that means that I want to make healthier choices regarding how the food that I input into my body, how I bless my body with food and nutrition. And if I wanted to get even more specific about that, I would say 90% of the time I would like to choose, or I intend to choose, not deep fried food and not white sugar based foods. So that and educating myself on better recipes in order to improve my health. So that's how specific I have gotten about my health goals in just this round. Really, we're just talking about eating. There are a gazillion other areas as far as our health goes, even, emotionally, being able to have less stress, more sleep, a bunch of other areas that you could set goals. But I'm just going to use this one as an example into this frame of SMART goals. So in order to make that measurable, first of all, you need to track things, because how do we know if we're doing better or not better if we're not tracking things? And again, in our health realm, this is easy. How many times did I go to the gym? What's my weight that I can lift? For me, I track the days specifically that I eat junk versus when I don't. How do I know if I'm getting to the 90% of the time if I don't track it? Adding new recipes to our family menu. Again, that's something that I can see in how often we have new menus. I also have, sorry, a like a little recipe book, so I can physically see how many new little cards that I have added onto there. Right now, we're working on adding protein to our diets, and especially through baked goods. So learning how, looking up recipes for granola bars and muffins and breads and things that have higher protein content. And obviously, for it not to be junk food in my realm, it must also not include white sugar. So that has been a challenge, but a little bit at a time, I can feel myself growing in that area. Is it achievable? Certainly. This is something I have control over. It's not based on somebody else. Okay, my recipes and what I put into my body is based on me. So 100% this goal is achievable. Is it realistic? Yes, it will improve my physical health by eating healthier, making better choices. There's lots of data to support how cutting sugar out of your meal plan and deep fried foods will clearly improve your health. So is this realistic? Definitely. And then lastly, time framed, because my goal is time framed on a weekly basis that I am tracking this 90%. This is an ongoing lifetime goal. But if you wanted to, say, lose weight, maybe you set a few months as far as your timeline, or you want to have something accomplished within a year, so many new recipes or etc. like that. It's unlimited, the amount of areas that we could use this in getting clear about our health goals.
Excuse me. Yeah, when I think of the clarity around physical health, of course, that's a huge, huge part of what I do. Being able to clearly align people with what their body needs and what it's missing, what food sensitivities you have. And so it's easier to put together a clear path. It is a little overwhelming in the world to figure out what to eat and what to do with our bodies, because it's just become so complicated in our culture. But getting back to the basics. But I think, without clarity, we just get lost, honestly, all of us. Before I started this work and was able to really distinctly know what my body needed, I spent hours, trying to figure it out, just collecting information, reading, researching for my kids, for myself. So I do think clarity for physical healing is really it's really a critical kind of thing, because otherwise there's just too many distractions, too many temptations, and too much confusion out in the marketplace. So yeah, getting that clarity. Our body's incredibly intelligent, complex. We just can't throw a few things at it and call that, a goal, or that we're taking care of ourselves. It really does need to have some structure and attention put to it. But once we train ourselves in the areas of health and wellness in that area of the physical realm, it becomes our habit, routine, and it just becomes normal. It's just what we do every day. Like Tish was saying, once we have those goals in alignment, so it might take a month or a few months to get in alignment, but then it's going to serve you for the rest of your life. So it's very powerful mindset to have around health, physical health.
Awesome. Thank you for that share. Roberta definitely is our body expert. So that leads us to our tip, which is set smart goals, smart health goals specifically for yourself, in asking yourself the question, how can I improve myself physically? And how can I write that out in a very clear and specific way?
Yeah, very good. So when this last section is called the live free or the soul realm, where we want to transform at a soul level. And this is really about living on purpose, like I alluded to in the live empowered section on the mind, and that the soul actually craves expression and purpose. It's not like an idea like, well, maybe I will, maybe I won't. If I feel like it, I will. To me, it was just a driving force that just didn't go away. So the clarity in the soul realm of living out our purpose connects us to our true calling, if you will. And like we said, not just conditioned programming. So when we understand why we're here, everything becomes meaningful then. Like I had said earlier, there's inspiration, there's passion, there's excitement. And sure, there is, still work and effort, but either way in life, we're going to be putting forth a lot of effort, to be here, to get through life, to do what life is calling for. it might as well be focused and directed to really feel that fulfillment. You know, on our deathbed, we don't ask people to show us our achievements or our certificates on the wall. We want to know how we contributed and how we affected the people around us. And I think that's the two human needs that everyone is, you know, designed for, is growth and contribution. So it's not like some of us are just not designed for that. I really believe that we are all designed for that, because that's what makes the world livable, right? If people are growing and contributing and helping each other through life, that's what it's all about. And so being able to have really empowering tools to help other people and make their life better, raise their consciousness, you know, just make the world a better place to be, is at least my purpose of why I'm here. And yeah, I can't imagine not doing that anymore. So
the deathbed analogy certainly gets me in, you know what, we don't want to have regrets at the end of the day. And that's sort of the number one thing that when they ask people that are in that situation, that's what they say. I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. So that's really what we're trying to get to here, is for you to listen to that inner voice within you that will guide you. We're all souls that are here for a purpose. You're here on purpose. And that could be anything. It doesn't really matter what that is, but listen to that music that's in your heart, and listen to, you know, that drum that you beat to, regardless of what that is, and follow along so that you can live a more fulfilling life, something that is an expression of who you are and why you're here versus what you think you should, again, be doing.
yeah, that's excellent. And I think, you know, when we're doing what we're meant to do, we don't think about I'm not enough or all the negative things that I focused on so much in my life. I mean, I was trying to get past them, but didn't have as quite the tools that I have now. But once I lined up with something I really love and I'm good at, I automatically have confidence in that area, you know, in that gifting. And then I just expand on that. Of course, I have to love myself and be comfortable enough to present myself to other people. And that's all part of the process, but it's a beautiful journey. Said either way, if I take the path of least resistance and I just stay in the way I was and not be happy with that, or I can just push through a little and go to the path of my soul, which is, you know, to grow and contribute. So I always just kind of have a contrast for everything. You know, it's either I'm going to spend just as much time living a life I don't really feel aligned with, and the outcome of that and the legacy of that won't be fulfilling. It won't impact the people that I want to impact the way that I can. And so the other path is, of course, going to give me that fulfilled life at the end of the road that I can, you know, be at peace with. And one of the books I read called The Dream Giver, that helped me get on my path to the work that I'm doing. And in there, one of the people, it was like an allegory. So it was these characters, and this person was trying to find his dream, right? And on his path to his dream, someone had passed away and they were buried. And on their tombstone, it said, "Here lies a dreamer. She finished her dream." And I told my kids that's what I want on my my tombstone when I die, just because, you know, it's just such an awesome feeling to say, wow, I'm doing what I came here for. It just feels really good. After decades of not knowing what I wanted to do, it was really awesome.
That's beautiful, and that touches on one of, you know, the things that I believe is my purpose, is really in being that role model for our children and guiding, you know, next generations, and showing them that you can live whatever you want. When we say to kids that you can do whatever you want, I really believe that now through this work, that you just got to call your shot. What is it that you want?
Yeah.
And we need to take the time to do that. And that's what this discussion really has been all about.
Yeah, it's, as you're saying that, I think, you know, our natural state is to live authentically, to live out a true persona, you know, and have that gift that automatically is in us, it be expressed in the outer world. So it's, of course, it's the most natural thing in the world, is to live our purpose and not settle, you know, for something else. And so the tip that we have for that is just that a lot of it's self-inquiry again of, did I live in alignment with my deeper purpose today? Or was I reacting from fear or confusion, or basically living in survival? So when it comes to life purpose and goals, there's a lot of self-inquiry. I should say a lot, but there's just enough self-inquiry to really, you know, get that perspective that we maybe didn't even think about asking about before. So seeing if we're really in aligned with our purpose, and if not, you know, the mind will start connecting us with what would make us light up and what would make us want to, you know, feel like we're in alignment.
So to kind of summarize everything that we have touched on here during this discussion, when we talked about living empowered and your mindset, we suggested that you take some time to journal, but really figure out what you really authentically want your goals to be. Don't base them on societal norms or ego-driven accomplishments. It's what do you truly want? And in the realm of body or living healthy, make sure you set clear goals. We suggested SMART goals, or that acronym, to help you really hammer out what is clear, specific, measurable time-framed goals in regards to your health and your physical body, so that you can not only measure them, but also track them so that you know you're doing better or worse. And then lastly, in the soul realm, getting clarity and fulfillment by figuring out and following your soul's purpose and path. Know that we are all here for a reason, and your innate guidance system will show you what that is if you take the time to listen.
Awesome. Beautiful. So I think that wraps up our discussion for today. And we just want to take a minute to invite you to our work. As you can tell, Tish and I have been very passionate and authentic about what we're doing, and why we want people to have that same experience that we've had, because like we said, if we can live a much different, more empowered, joyful, fulfilled life, why not? Why wouldn't we want to pursue that path? And I think, like I always think about how it never seemed possible to me. Like, I don't think that could happen for me. Like I was so drugged down into depression that it couldn't even conceive that I could have a life that I designed and that I would feel fulfilled at and happy and excited about, more so than not. And so just, I think that's such a big message on my heart, is to let people know that, it's absolutely, like I said, our birthright. It's attainable. It's why we're here. So finding this path of truly living out our purpose is, it's, to me, that's the most beautiful gift that we could possibly ever give ourselves. And July 13th, like I said before, we are doing a cohort Tish and I will be a part of, where we'll be working with women, giving them a safe space to really step into this work and embody this Elite Mentorship Forum transformation. So we just want to, invite people to reach out to us, to book a discovery call with no pressure, just clarity, and to see if this is something that would, take you down that path that we've been talking about.
Yeah. Our discussions, I think it's important to know, are just little tidbits from our modules. This one today was from module 8, which is all about goal setting, etc. And I imagine our next few discussions will be about that. So we encourage you, if this is speaking to you, to reach out and book a call and consider joining the cohort, which also not only comes with an education in order to assist you, but also community. And that was one of the big things for me, especially in this work, is building more people around us that are having these conversations, that are willing to be authentic and vulnerable and share in our growth together, so that we're not alone.
Yeah.
Okay. And that, at the end, we'll leave you with a quote, as we normally do. This week's quote is anonymous, but it says, "Get clear on your goals and stick with them to create your desired life."
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for checking in with us, and we'll see you on the next discussion.
Have a good day.